Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matt and I'm here with Venush, and so much has happened since the last time we recorded. Free agency started on Friday night a couple of nights ago, and we're pretty much at the end of it already. As of now, Hassan Whiteside is the only notable free agent not to have been signed, and we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to go over the big signings. We're just going to give our takes on which teams got better, which teams got worse, has the title conversation changed, and pretty much just everything you need to know about NBA free agency. And obviously, we have to start with the LA Lakers because if they weren't already good enough, if they didn't already have the best duo in the league, now they are far and away championship favorites if they already weren't. A team that had two of the best players in the league, but not a ton of depth, now has the two of the best players in the league, and maybe the best depth in the league. So, what are your thoughts on the Lakers free agency so far?
Yeah, so they slightly improved their starting lineup because they're probably still going to run out Caruso, KCP, LeBron, AD, and now Marcus All. And Marcus All is just better than Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Not massively, but he is better. And then they kept Markieff Morris, Kyle Kuzma. They got Wesley Matthews to replace Danny Green. And then they added the two sixth men of the year in Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell. They're just stacked. Like, this is a championship level team, and this is my team that I think is going to win the championship. I think it's going to be quite. I don't think it's going to be quite competitive too.
I agree. It's not quite at Warriors from 3 years ago levels, but it's a way bigger gap than it was last year. Like you said, I mean, Marcus Gasol, say what you want about him, but at least he can play the five beside AD. He's not going to kill their spacing, even though I mean he's a better shooter than Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, even though he was not a great shooter this year with the Raptors. This past year with the Raptors, he's a better shooter, better floor spacer, just a better kind of I think better offensive player overall. Um, and can maybe take some pressure off AD guarding those big guys that he has to spend so much time on. And then a team that had no bench, a team that we always said that their bench when LeBron had to come off was going to be the downfall of the team, now has the guy who won Six Man of the Year and the guy who probably should have won Six Man of the Year. Uh, and they signed a pretty decent player who was on the Bucks last year, Wesley Matthews, and they brought back Markieff Morris. I don't really know what else to say. It's kind of a perfect team, and barring catastrophic injuries, I think they're pretty much locks to repeat as champions.
Yeah, and what I might say is might be blasphemy, but this team is a championship contender without Anthony Davis. Like, that's how good this team
Yeah,
is.
I
Like if
I kind of agree.
like if Anthony Davis got taken out of this team, like they're still a championship contender. That's how good this team is.
Yeah,
Like they have so much options, playmakers, scorers around LeBron James. Like it's gonna be tough for anyone to win. Like unless AD gets injured or LeBron gets injured, this is the Lakers championship.
yeah. Not really much else to say about it. Rob Pelinka is making moves, and it's they have by far the best team on paper, and like
Yeah,
we said, they should repeat as champions. So they're crosstown, not crosstown. They're same stadium rivals. The LA Clippers I thought they were going to be bigger players in free agency. They did end up landing Serge Ibaka from our Raptors, which we will get into in just a little bit, but I like it. On it, they lost Montrezl Harrell, like we said, to the Lakers, and they signed Ibaka on the exact deal that Harrell signed with the Lakers. So I guess they just preferred
yeah.
Ibaka over him, which I kind of understand. Uh, what do you feel about that fit?
It doesn't matter because they need a playmaker.
Yeah,
Kawhi said it. They brought it up. They should have got Ricky Rubio, in my opinion. They didn't. And as good as Ibaka is gonna be for them, he's not gonna beat the Lakers. Like he's not a superstar. Like I don't want people to over exaggerate because of this weak draft class that Ibaka and Marcus Gasol are superstars. Like they're good role players, but Ibaka was a sixth man, potentially a seventh man on a team that couldn't even make the conference finals. Now he's a starter on a team that's expected to win the
yeah,
championship. Like let's not over exaggerate Serge Ibaka's ability. Like
yeah,
this is not a good off season for them because they add Kennard, they add Ibaka. They did improve as a team, but the rival and the champions improved more than they did. And when you're champions, means they're already better than you because they won the championship. If they improve more than you, it just creates a gap. And I don't
Yeah,
think that gap is enough for Kawhi to overcome.
yeah. Like in the league, it's not even close how much the Lakers improved more over the Clippers. Luke Kennard's pretty good, but he's
Yeah,
not. Is he that much better than Landry Shamet? Like he's pretty good,
he's
but
better, but
he's better. And Ibaka is the best big man that like defender that like they did not have a guy last year to throw on a guy like Anthony Davis, and Ibaka's not going to be able to stop Davis, but he'll be able to hold him to maybe 35 instead of 45 like Harrell
yeah,
would or Marcus Morris or something like that. Oh, that's another thing. They brought back Marcus Morris on a 4-year deal for
64 million.
that's insane. 16 a year.
Yeah,
I don't understand how Marcus Morris is making $60 million a year. Uh, so some very questionable moves from the Clippers. They didn't bring in the playmaker yet. I thought they were going to get Rondo. They didn't.
yeah.
Rubio would have been a decent move too, and it's not looking good for the Clippers right now. I think they've definitely fallen, not just relative to the Lakers, but I think even compared to some other teams in the West.
I still have him as a second favorite team in the West, just because I believe Kawhi Leonard is that good, and I
Yeah,
think Paul George will bounce back too. I don't think we'll see bubble Paul George.
yeah, he should. Yeah,
Like him and Pascal Siakam played so bad in the bubble. Like I think both of those players are going to improve so much this
yeah,
upcoming season.
yeah,
And the question is, can Paul George just be an assist getter, a playmaker, and be a LeBron James, Jimmy Butler esque type player where he sacrifices scoring to get those assist numbers up?
yeah,
It's going to be tough for him, but we'll see.
yeah. We will see. All right, so moving on, the Phoenix Suns. Other than we already talked about Chris Paul and his impact on them, they brought in Jay Crowder, pretty decent.
Resign
Uh,
Saric for the
Re-signed
backup
Dario
five.
Saric. So I like Crowder. I mean, he was a starter on a finals team this year. Is he going to be a starter on the Suns?
I hope not. Personally, I want to see Cam Johnson improve. But him or Cam Johnson, it doesn't really matter. They're both going to get minutes. And let's just say Cam Johnson is starting. They have a solid bench four of Javon Carter, Cameron Payne, Jay Crowder, and Dario Saric. Pretty decent. This team is definitely going to be competing for that 6, 7, 8 spot.
Yeah,
It just depends, can Chris Paul stay healthy? Like, that's a big question.
yeah. That's the question because I think a healthy Chris Paul, I can't see him missing the playoffs. Especially his team looks pretty decent on paper too, and yeah, it's going to come down to Chris Paul's health. I completely agree. And we were so high on Cam Johnson after the Suns 8-0 bubble run. I really want him to start. I really wanted to keep seeing him improve, but like you said, he's still going to be playing a ton of minutes whether or not he's in the starting five.
Yeah.
So it's a solid signing overall. All right, so moving on to the Sacramento Kings. They lost Bojan Bogdanovic.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, it's not confirmed yet,
Yeah.
but yeah, it looks like Bogdanovic might be going to the Hawks on a as an RFA. That's true. It's not confirmed yet. We will see. And I guess other than that, they signed Fox to a max,
Max. Yeah.
and they drafted Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, this seems weird because now
Very weird. Yeah.
they have what, three players making around 20 million, and if they bring back Bogdanovic, he's making 18. Harrison Barnes makes 22. Heald makes 22, 23. Fox on the max. Bagley has to get an extension next offseason. They have this young, promising point guard slash shooting guard in Tyrese Halliburton. They just, none of their players seem to fit together. So,
I know.
like, hopefully a trade happens for this team and Buddy Hield's out of there because letting Bogdanovich walk for free would be a big mistake, in my opinion. So, the only option would be letting Buddy Hield go somewhere else.
Yeah. I don't really see how the team fits. Um so you draft a point guard slash shooting guard and then you a young one and then you sign Fox to the max. I don't really understand how that works. It just maybe it was just the
Yeah.
best player available type thing because they're not really in the playoff. Probably not looking at a playoff spot anyway. Just kind of take the best guy you can get. But I don't really understand the move. Yeah. Okay, so the Golden State Warriors got some very, 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 very sad information a few days ago that Klay Thompson before he even played a game coming back from that left ACL tear, tore his right Achilles. Just, I don't even know
Oh,
what to
no.
say about that. So sad. He's the last guy in the world that you would want that to happen to. And the Warriors, who were looking like title contenders, are definitely not anymore.
Yeah, they brought in his replacement, Kelly Oubre, with a pick, a pretty
Yeah.
heavily protected pick.
Yeah.
Uh, Even with Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, James Wiseman, Draymond Green, they're probably looking at a 6, 7, 8
Yeah.
seed maybe.
Yeah.
They're going to be competitive, but they're not going to win a championship.
No. Yeah, and I mean, the Warriors were, I think everyone was like, Steph Curry was in the MVP conversation. People were saying that the Warriors were the only team that was going to be able to take on the Lakers, and I don't know. It's just so sad. Looks like the Lakers are going to run away with it now, and Klay Thompson's going to have. By the time he does come back from this injury, he's going to be two
31.
31, 2 years since playing a real game of basketball, more than that, and it's just a horrible situation all around, really.
Yeah, and they're paying so much in tax for
Yeah,
this team, which is not going to win a championship. So to keep improving next year, because a lot of these guys are free agents, like Kelly Oubre,
yeah,
that's going to be tough for them. They do
yeah.
have a decent bench though. They have Eric Pascal
Mm-hmm.
and they have Nico Mannion. They have a pretty
Damian
young
Damian Lee,
David
uh,
Lee.
Jordan Poole. I do like their bench. It's actually
Yeah,
pretty decent. Yeah, like they'll definitely. I think they will be a playoff team given Steph Curry's health and everything like that. But yeah, they are not looking at a championship this year.
I would like to
They're,
see a Lakers Warriors first round matchup though. See
yeah,
Curry
yeah,
with the underdog team
yeah.
against
I
LeBron James with
yeah,
the
I would like to
favorites.
see that.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. Houston Rockets. Um, Probably one of the weirdest off seasons out of any team. Uh, haven't lost James Harden yet. Haven't lost Russell Westbrook yet. They did, like we said before, get rid of Robert Covington, and just a couple minutes before we started recording, they signed Boogie Cousins.
Yeah, and most importantly, they got Christian Wood, their starting
Yes, sorry,
center.
my bad. Yeah,
Their starting center. So now you have Westbrook, Harden, Daniel House, PJ Tucker, and Christian Wood
Christian
with
Wood.
a bench of Boogie, Eric Gordon. Pretty decent.
Yeah,
Eric Christian Wood, surprisingly, I think could guard 80 well. He's agile enough, he's quick enough, he's big enough. So this is just they're trying to make one last push to beat this
yeah.
Lakers team and win a championship. And I think this is the only offseason only regular season they're gonna give it with the Harden and Westbrook experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Only interesting thing is Bookie Cousins and John Wall are really good friends, and Westbrook does want out. John Wall does want out apparently
Yeah,
with the Wizards, so that swap looks more and more interesting now.
yeah. I mean, it just came out today that uh, apparently Wall has not asked for a trade, but I
Mhm.
don't think anyone really knows
Yeah,
what's going on. But yeah, we'll definitely see. And man, the Christian Wood signing was such a steal. They the Pistons let him go and then paid Mason Plumlee more money than the Rockets are paying Christian Wood.
I think his first initial
Oh, sorry, my
contract
my
was
bad. The
incredible.
numbers that first came out were wrong. He's
Yeah,
making, what is it, 3 years, 40,
42, I think.
42? Okay, so
Yeah,
no, he's making more than Plumlee. I still don't understand why the Pistons would let him go and still pick Mason Plumlee over him. But
yeah,
yeah, I love the signing for the Rockets. Like you said, best big man they've had in kind of a long time, other than Clint Capella. And yeah, it looks like they're making one more push at trying to beat these Lakers.
yeah. And it's gonna be interesting because I think this Rockets team could definitely beat the Clippers team now and kind of catapult
Yeah,
themselves into
I
that
think
two
so.
seed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. All right, Dallas Mavericks have not really done much. They drafted Josh Green, which I like.
Tyrell Terry they drafted as well
Drafted
to
Tyler Terry.
replace to replace Seth Curry, and they got Josh Richardson, a
Yeah,
nice defensive wing, kind of fits better with
yeah,
Luka Doncic. Uh, they also got rid of DeLon Wright's 3-year contract for James Johnson's 1 year expiring.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just seems like they're making want to make a push for Giannis next year or a superstar next year. Kind of similar to a lot of teams in this free agency.
Yeah, their offseason has,
Next,
yeah, has the feeling of
yeah,
not overspending, not overcommitting to anyone, just keeping their options open and
yeah,
praying for Giannis next year.
yeah. It kind of seems like a lot of teams, but that's how good Giannis and the next free agent class
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
And if they land someone even like a Paul George, we're talking about title favorites. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, this Mavericks team, they're gonna be good. They can miss the playoffs potentially because Porzingis is gonna miss time. Dwight Powell's not gonna be as good as he was because he's just coming off an injury. Maxi Kleber, if he's the only big man on that team, he's gonna struggle.
Yeah,
And it just depends how much KP misses. But if Luka's able to carry them, it's gonna be pretty sick and pretty interesting to watch,
yeah,
at least for the first couple months when KP's injured.
yeah. Like Luka Doncic, like we've said before, should be probably number one on the MVP conversation right now. Whether or not that translates to making the playoffs or playoff series win is yet to be decided. But yeah, you're definitely right. All right, so moving on, Memphis Grizzlies. I haven't really didn't do anything really.
Like, their big free agency or drafting was Desmond Bain. That's about it.
Pretty much it.
Yeah, running
Nothing else to
back.
say. All right, San Antonio Spurs.
Drafted Dennis Pascal or Devin Pascal.
Devin Vassell, yeah.
Yeah,
Like the
haven't
fit.
traded DeMar.
Have not traded DeMar DeRozan yet.
Have not
They
traded
signed Jakob
LaMarcus
Poeltl
Aldridge.
to a 3-year deal, $9 million a year. So somehow Jakob Poeltl is making only $500,000 less than Montrezl Harrell and Serge Ibaka.
He's only making a million more than Mason Plumlee. So
Okay.
contracts are weird.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of it to say about the Spurs. Okay, Pelicans.
Yeah,
Some big
this
news with the
is
Pelicans.
yeah
Traded for Steven Adams. I don't understand the fit beside Zion really at all. Uh, I guess they just felt they had to make a move and get a center.
yeah yeah. They lost Derek Favors, replaced
Yeah,
him with a 1 year contract with Steven Adams. So
yeah,
not that bad.
yeah.
They still have Eric Bledsoe, someone who I think they could prove because he would be so good on like a Clippers team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They
yeah.
still have Lonzo Ball, and they're gonna re-sign uh, Brandon Ingram to a max soon.
Mm-hmm.
And this starting lineup kind of sucks. Lonzo at
Yeah.
the 2, Bledsoe at the 1, Ingram at the 3, Zion at the 4, Steven Adams at the 5. So just Ingram is the only shooter.
Spacing is so
Other,
bad.
other teams are playing 4 out. The
Yeah.
Pelicans 4 in, Brandon Ingram out. I think they're going for the number 1 pick. Where no spacing.
Yeah.
They're gonna make Zion have his time the hardest. Apparently he slimmed down, but that could just be nice filters and
It's felt angles,
angles.
post
Yeah,
workout stuff. Yeah. And I mean, they do feel like a team that has a few trades to make. Like you said, Bledsoe, Steven Adams is going to be on an expiring.
yeah,
So this team could look a lot different, even just a couple months into the season. So we'll see. But as of right now, this is not looking like a playoff team, in my opinion.
yeah. And this team has a pretty important season as well because
Yeah.
if Zion is able to show he's like a Luka Doncic,
Yeah.
he's like a Trey Young, he's actually a really good player, and then he has a Brandon Ingram next to him, that can entice a superstar to come play with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah.
if you show, okay, I'll say Paul George again. If you show Paul George, hey, we got a superstar scorer, we got a superstar like face of the league type player. You can be our third option, play defense, pass the ball. We could win multiple championships. That sounds like a good pitch. So they have a really important regular season for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah. Yeah. It's less about making the playoffs than it is about
showing the
showing
potential.
what. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Denver Nuggets. Like we said, they lost Mason Plumlee. Uh, Not a huge deal. And they drafted RJ Hampton.
Yeah, they traded for RJ Hampton. They
Yeah.
gave up next year's protected pick.
Yeah.
They
I love
lost
the RJ
Jeremy
Hampton
Grant.
fit on the Nuggets. But I mean, did they really need another like guard wing type kind of raw player? I do like the fit though with
Yeah,
Jokic and Murray. We'll see how that works out.
yeah,
That's
but
pretty much
they lost Grant. which is pretty big to
Oh,
the
my bad.
Pistons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I should have led with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
S- And they
and they brought back
re-signed
Paul Millsap. Yeah,
and they brought back Jermichael Green from the Clippers. So basically, this is an MPJ season. Kind of
yeah,
seems like that to me.
yeah.
Paul Millsap is like the backup four. Bol is gonna get minutes because they don't have a backup center.
Let's go.
I'm not high on this Nuggets team anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Like
I think bringing Grant
the
back was so important.
and they're like relying so much on the young players now. Like
Yeah,
MPJ has to start,
yeah,
has to play good defense.
yeah,
Bol has to have backup center minutes
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like obviously Will Barton's coming back healthy, so that's gonna be a big help too.
hmm
But I think it just sucks that they missed out on Drew Holiday and
yeah,
like a defender because I don't like Jamal Murray guarding point guards.
yeah. It's so weird because it seems like no matter how well the Nuggets do, they're always making moves to trade away veterans and pass on veterans to let the younger guys play more minutes. Like that's what we said
Yeah,
last when they were in the conference finals against the Lakers, when they were in the playoffs. Even we were like, okay, they're not going to do that well, but this is just a year. Let their young guys develop. MPJ, whatever.
yeah,
And then in the offseason, they're going to bring in a Drew Holiday, bring in a Chris Paul, Eric Bledsoe, whatever, and go for it next year. And they literally made the conference finals. All could have gotten to the NBA finals, and now they're making their team worse and younger. I don't quite understand it.
I guess they just think could be a fair argument. They just think it's not worth competing against LeBron. They're like,
Yeah,
hey,
could
let's
be.
just get these young guys, wait out LeBron James, and once he's gone, we're set up to be a dynasty. And they're
Yeah,
also a team that's setting up for the next free agency as well,
yeah,
because
that's true.
they have Jokic, they have Jamal Murray. If you add a small forward like Giannis, Kawhi, Paul George, championship level team, it's
Yeah,
just that not every single team can land Giannis, Kawhi, and Paul George. Only three can. So
yeah,
teams are going to be pretty, pretty screwed over if those players don't come over.
exactly. Yeah, Nuggets. It seems like the Lakers are just getting better and better, and every other West contender is just getting worse.
Yeah,
Maybe except the Rockets. Uh,
yeah,
okay, the Thunder are a team that look completely different
yeah.
than the end of last season. I don't. I'm definitely gonna screw something up because I definitely forgot one of the moves they made. But they got rid of Chris Paul. They traded Dennis Schroeder. They got Kelly Oubre and then traded him, and
Hmm.
then they lost Gallo. They traded Steven Adams. Am I missing anything?
And they just traded a bunch of picks here and there, and guys that came
Yeah,
for a little bit and
yeah,
left. Yeah,
yeah,
but oh, they also traded uh for Al Horford, giving
yeah,
Danny Green
yeah. How did I forget? Yeah,
to the Sixers. But I don't even know what their starting lineup is looking like anymore. I just know Shea's starting at the one,
yeah,
Dort is starting at the two, Baisley starting at the three or four, and Al
yeah,
Horford starting at the five. That's four starters.
yeah,
uh, they're just for the future. They're trying to be the worst team in the league. Shea's trying to average 25.
yeah,
Dort's trying to average 15, which will be pretty good for Canada. 25 and 15.
yeah,
But yeah, this is just a team for the future. They have a bunch of picks.
yeah,
That's about it.
yeah. Pretty much it. Yeah, it looks like even though no one expected the Thunder to do as well as they did last year, it's not going to happen this year. With Shea is by far the best player on their team right now,
Al
and we can't
Horford,
even
close second.
and we can't even name their starting five. It is not looking good for the Thunder. But they have a million picks. They have the most flexibility in the league, and yeah, if they tank and get the number one pick, the future could be pretty bright for them.
Yeah, and if players like John Collins ever do come on the market, OKC is going to be a nice buyer for those
Mm,
those type of young players because they have,
yeah,
like we said, a million picks and
yeah.
contracts. So
Miles
watch
Turner
out,
maybe type those type
Miles
like
Turner. Yeah,
yeah,
players under 25 years old.
yeah,
Watch out for OKC picking them up.
yeah for sure. All right, moving on. Utah Jazz signed.
Derek Favors.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, re-signed their sixth man of the year, Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah,
Maxed out Donovan Mitchell. They're
yeah.
kind of just running it
No brainer.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of running it back. Yep.
now with a healthy Bogdanovich. See how it goes. And I think this team can sneak into the top four.
I was just gonna
And
ask you where do you see them in the West? So obviously Lakers, we got one. We got Houston somewhere in there in the top four
yeah,
probably.
Probably
Clippers
Clippers.
are in there too. Could be Utah. Could be
I think
Denver. Uh,
uh could be another team we're going to talk about soon,
yeah,
the Portland Trailblazers.
yeah,
But yeah, they're definitely competing for that 4, 5, 6 role, trying to
yeah,
get home court.
yeah.
I think Bogdanovich, people are really underrating how much he meant for them. He was a 20
I
point
agree.
scorer.
Yep,
He was their second scorer. The only question about the Utah Jazz is throughout the season, they're gonna see how much they value Rudy Gobert
yep.
because we know other teams are gonna offer pretty sizable contracts for him. And if they could trade him and get back pieces like a Dinwiddie, Levert, they're gonna look at that. And mid-season, this team might look completely different than what it looks like right now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because Gobert is another one of those upcoming free agents next year. Not quite on the level of the Kawhi, Paul George, Giannis, but yeah, there will definitely be some sizable offers for him. Uh, and yeah, we'll definitely see what they do with that. Okay, so you mentioned the Portland Trailblazers, and they
Did a lot.
did a lot. It's kind of hard to keep track of how much they did too.
Yeah,
So, uh, I think the biggest signing is they brought back Melo, so I think they're in the championship conversation now. And that's kind of all you need to say, really.
yeah. They traded for Covington. They
Yeah,
traded for Enes Kanter. They signed DJJ from the Miami Heat.
yeah,
They still have Zach Collins. They
yeah.
still have Nazir Little. They still have Anthony Simmons. Still have Gary Trent Jr. Still have their big three of Dame, CJ, and Nurkic. Yeah, they have defense around Dame, CJ, and Nurkic now.
Finally, yeah,
Yeah, so like this team can make it to the
yeah.
Western Conference
So
Finals again.
this is one of the few West teams that actually improved.
Yeah,
They could be looking at a top four seed, like you said. I mean, I would not be shocked
they get
if they
second.
had like a two seed. Like
Yeah,
I would not be shocked. This could be a Dame MVP year too. Like honestly, this
maybe.
it could be. Um, yeah. So like I said, love the moves they made. They haven't lost Hassan Whiteside yet, but he's probably. I
He's
doubt
gone.
he's coming back. They signed Enes
Yeah,
Kanter again. Yeah, but still, love the moves they made. This is the best defense they've had around Dame CJ in a long and Nurkic in a long time. So, yeah, we'll definitely see.
yeah.
Okay,
And
yeah, sorry,
what do you
Kevin, go
think
ahead.
the Trailblazers starting lineup's going to be? I think it's Dame, CJ, Carmelo, Covington, Nurkic.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
a
think
lot of
Covington
people.
has to start at the four. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are pushing Carmelo to the bench, but we know he doesn't like being on the bench.
Yeah, and then yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Rodney
Melo's
Hood got
definitely.
re-signed too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Rodney Hood. He has not played since he tore his Achilles. Correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
no, he
And
has
he was having a really good season, probably his best season
best
ever
season.
before
Yeah,
he tore that Achilles. So here's hoping that it's been a while. He's had a long time to recover. He's hoping he can come back and be that bench six man type guy that they had before. And this is looking like a really good team if that does happen.
yeah.
Okay, so the Timberwolves are a team that made a ton of moves that I'm like the other teams I'm definitely gonna get confused about. But biggest move they drafted Anthony Edwards, which was a no brainer, like we
Yeah.
said. Uh, brought back Ricky Rubio, former Timberwolves Ricky Rubio. And what else did they do?
Re-signed Beasley, re-signed Juancho Herman
Yeah,
Gomez.
yeah.
That's about all their big moves. They got rid of Omari Spellman to the Knicks for some, and I think they lost seconds just to get rid of him. But yeah, they're a weird team because I think D'Angelo Russell's a starting caliber
Yeah.
point guard. Rubio's a starting caliber point guard. Anthony Edwards is a starting caliber shooting guard. Beasley's a starting caliber shooting guard. Culvert and
Mhm.
Okogie, they're like 6'4", even though they'll play small forward. Juancho, not a starting caliber power forward, but he will start at power forward. And then they have Cat, probably one of the best big men in the league. They just don't fit together. They're going to make
Yeah.
trades.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I don't think so. This is about development, really. Anthony Edwards. I don't think Rubio is long for this team. Uh, I think a Clippers maybe go for him or something like that,
It'll be
like you
interesting,
said
yeah.
before. Yeah, like you said, this team has moves to make. I don't see them as a playoff team right now, but considering they just had the number one pick in the draft and we're saying they're not quite a playoff team, I think it's kind of a win for the organization. So, yeah.
No.
Yeah, so moving on to the East, I think we got to start with the Bucks because the Bucks looked like they were having a really good offseason, um, because they brought in. Well, we thought they brought in Bogdanovich and Drew Holiday. Turns out it's only Drew Holiday, which they massively overpaid for. And I like the Bogdanovich deal that they gave up for. And now, because of tampering, because of the league shutting it down, that trade did not happen. It looks like he might be headed to the Atlanta Hawks now. What do you think of the moves the Bucks have made so far?
I don't know if they improved, to be honest. People are obviously
Yeah,
gonna say Drew Holiday is a better player than Eric Bledsoe, but I'm comparing them to the team that lost to the Raptors that had Bledsoe,
yeah,
Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. I don't know if a team of Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez is better than
yeah,
that team. It's still going to be a lot of Giannis, and this team is going to be about the system.
yeah,
They have no bench anymore.
yeah,
See how they play. It's all about the system.
yeah.
They massively overpaid for Drew Holiday. Giannis is expected to sign a supermax, which just kind of suck if you're the Raptors fan base.
Mm-hmm.
But if he signs a supermax, you're happy. If he doesn't, you're kind of nervous. But it's all about Giannis. It's all about the system. We're just gonna have to see him play before we really come to judgment.
Yeah, and that the Bogdanovich losing out on Bogdanovich is so huge because he's exactly the type of player they needed. They need playmakers and shooters, guys who can create their own shot around Giannis. And now it's kind of just Middleton and Drew Holiday. That can do that. And you said, like you said, look back on that 2019 team, and they had Brogdon that could do that. Bledsoe, although he's kind of was terrible in the playoffs, he's still a good playmaker. And Chris Middleton was obviously there too. Still, it's a downgrade. Probably not from this past year,
Yeah,
but from 2 years ago, it's definitely a downgrade. So
yeah, it's gonna be
yeah,
interesting. The question I would make with the Bucks is how can they improve at that shooting guard position now?
yeah,
Because they don't have that 7 million expiring of Ersan Ilyasova.
that was big losing. Yeah, getting rid of that
Yeah,
Ilyasova expiring. Yeah,
so it's gonna be interesting. And
I guess we should say they brought in DJ Augustine too, if you want
oh
to
yeah,
classify that as a big move.
big move.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
he
interesting though.
he's basically the same player as George Hill, kind of not as good.
George Hill was bigger and a better
George Hill is
defender.
bigger, better defender. Yeah, and George Hill I think led the league in 3-point percentage this year. So this past
Yeah,
year. So yeah,
it's gonna be
even
tough.
downgraded at the George Hill spot. So
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, so on to the Indiana Pacers, and as of right now, Victor Oladipo is still a member of them. They still have Miles Turner. Uh, what are your thoughts on their offseason so far?
they got rid of TJ Leaf.
Oh no! Oh my God!
That's about it. That's all they
Pretty
did.
much it.
They did
Yeah,
nothing.
looks like they're running back with new head coach Nate Bjorkgren,
Yeah,
and I mean
they
top
did
six
nothing.
seed in the East again. Like it's going to be the exact same thing. I think.
Yeah,
Uh, I think they need to get rid of Miles Turner. Like how many years are we going to say that the Miles Turner Sabonis logjam at center needs to be split up? It needs to happen as soon as possible, like before the season, in my opinion.
yeah. They're probably just talking about contract details with Victor Oladipo right now because they're not
Yeah,
making moves. So
yeah,
they want to see how much his cap it's going to be, how that's going to impact the future. So once the Victor Oladipo signing happens, we could probably see a Miles Turner trade happening.
yeah,
But they just said, man, we're not interested in any free agents. They look after Fred VanVleet. They try to sign and trade for him. But other than Fred VanVleet, they're just like, hey, we're not interested.
yeah.
Maybe Gordon Hayward a little bit, but
Hmm.
they didn't get anyone and they kind of just missed. So they're just like, all right, on to the next free agency.
It seems like they're just going to be the fifth, sixth seed every year, losing the first round, but be competitive every year.
Yeah,
And doesn't I don't know. I think the way to raise this team ceiling is to let Sabonis just be the best player, even better than Oladipo, and be the starting five, and just kind of run everything through him.
yeah.
Okay, okay. So the Chicago Bulls, I think the one move that we need to talk about with them is who they took at number 4 in the draft this year. I thought Denny Avdia was the biggest lock in the draft to the Bulls. and somehow they took Patrick Williams, the guy that we said had the biggest bust potential out of anyone in the top 12 in the draft. And honestly, I don't even remember any of the other moves they made because I'm just so mad about that. I can't even look past that.
Yeah, they lost Chris Dunn. That's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
He's not even a small forward. Like, where are they gonna play him? That's my question.
I
He's
don't
a
know.
strict power forward,
I know.
and they have two power forward slash centers in Wendell Carter and Laurie
Yeah.
Markkinen. He's the youngest American-born player in the draft, so he's a project player. He's gonna suck for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he's good after that. But the Bulls just want to lose. They just want to be good next year in the draft, and hopefully, they get rid of Levine. Hopefully, someone like the Hawks will pick him up because
Yeah.
he's just going to be able to do nothing on this team because they're not
Yeah.
getting anywhere close to playoff contention.
I don't understand. Like I just Denny Avdia would have fit so perfectly into this team, would have slid right into that small forward spot. He would have made their playmaking so much better. They have space. They have decent spacing because Levine can shoot, because Laurie Markkinen can shoot, and
Kobe
even
White.
yeah, Kobe White can shoot. So the spacing, even though Avdia is not the greatest super shooter in the world, would not have completely killed their spacing, and they would still lose with him. So I don't really understand
Yeah,
why they go with Patrick Williams unless they're just super high on him and they were super not high on Avdia. But it didn't seem like any team was not high on him, so I don't really understand that move at all.
yeah,
Okay, so the Detroit Pistons made a good move in the draft and took Killian Hayes, hoping that he's going to be their point guard of the future. Uh,
yeah.
kind of it, really.
And then they
But then
signed.
they lost Christian Wood and signed Mason Plumlee, so that is a huge downgrade, not just for their team right now, but for the future. And I'm not really
Then,
feeling great about their free agency at all.
yeah, they stretched and waived Deadman for 5 years, so that's a 3 million cap hit on their roster for the next 5 years of someone who's not on their team. They signed Jeremy Grant, who was a third option for the Nuggets for a 20 million per year contract. I like him as a player, but I don't like him
Yeah,
at 20 million.
20 million.
They signed Jaleel Okafor for the minimum. Not bad, but why do you need another center?
Yeah,
They got rid of Kennard for nothing. They just and
yeah,
they still have Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose for some reason.
yeah. I don't
So
understand why Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin are still on this team. Like
yeah,
there were not a million trades out there for Blake Griffin, but there were a couple of trades that could have been worked out. Uh, the Pistons they don't have the worst roster in the league, but they have the most just kind of depressing roster in the league. I think just looking at their contract situations, looking at their they're probably not going to make the playoffs even if they do, they're getting swept no matter what. And I don't know. I just this is probably the most sad and hopeless organization in the East, at least right now. I think.
yeah, they just need shooting around Killian Hayes, and they
Yeah,
don't have that much of that. They just kind of have Grant,
not
who's a
really.
good shooter,
Yeah,
and they kind of just have players who can't shoot around Killian
yeah,
Hayes, which is going to just stint his development. And the reason I brought up Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose is, yes, they will sell you tickets.
yeah.
I will want to go see a Derrick Rose live. I will want to see a Blake Griffin live. This is the 1 year where you don't care about tickets.
Good point.
So like, why keep them?
Yeah,
I literally don't
yeah.
understand why you're
Oh my
keeping
god, I
them.
didn't even think about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Did they not think about that
did
too?
they like how? I guess not. They're just like they're
Yeah.
printing off their ticket promos with Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin back to back, just like
Yeah.
getting ready, getting all the giveaways and stuff ready for the fans, and then it's gonna be day one. Oh, where's everybody?
Yeah. The Pistons are lost as a franchise. But
All right,
hey,
okay. So next up, Cleveland Cavaliers. Not too much to say about them. Andre Drummond is back, and they lost Tristan Thompson, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, they're kind of
And they
just
drafted Isaac Okoro, which is a
pretty
really
good.
solid pick in my opinion. He's not. I don't think he's gonna make them worse offensively, at least
Oh,
right away.
yeah. Yeah,
But
he can't shoot
I
though.
like I like the pick still. The really solid defender, really smart player, just kind of a mature like adult player, even though he's going to be a rookie, and fits pretty good. with their backcourt. Other than that, there isn't really much to say about their offseason so far.
Yeah, I think they're holding out to trade for Andre Drummond because they're gonna need something back for him because Kevin
Yeah.
Love is getting bigger apparently to reports to play the
Mm.
center
Okay.
position
Okay.
and let Larry Nance play alongside him at the four.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. I don't know who wants Andre Drummond, but someone will probably want him.
Yeah.
And even if no one wants him, he's a free agent and he can walk. And you don't really care if he walks because you got him for a second round pick. So
Yeah.
if he walks, he walks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, this is a team that set it up nicely. They have good veterans around their young three players of Garland, Sexton,
Yeah.
Coro, and they just, like they're gonna suck. They're gonna get a nice high pick,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have Kevin Love will space it out and instruct the players how to play defense, how to get into the right plays, help them out. And yeah, they're just gonna be bad and look for next year.
It's pretty much it. Yep. Okay. Moving on, we got the Miami Heat, and I guess the biggest news is they brought back Goran Dragic, and
They got Avery Bradley,
they
which is
got
pretty
yeah,
big.
my bad. They got Avery Bradley. Avery
Yeah,
Bradley, just another really solid defender. Uh, defend or play some D, shoot some threes, and kind of fits perfectly right into that team. Uh, they probably are looking. I mean, they basically replaced Jay Crowder with Avery Bradley, so I don't know if they're better than last year, but I mean, I think they're just as good, really.
they're gonna struggle a little bit because they're gonna have a starting lineup of Dragic, Hero, Jimmy, Bam, Leonard,
Yeah,
and then they're gonna have a bench of Nunn,
yeah,
Bradley, Duncan Robinson, Mo Harkless, someone they signed, and Kelly Olynyk. And then they're gonna still have Andre Iguodala too. So that's a nice deep 11-man
yeah,
roster
yeah.
who could which can play anytime and could play multiple positions each player. So they're gonna be good. They're gonna probably be a top. I think they could get the second seed in the East
Yeah,
with the Raptors falling.
yeah,
But yeah, they're gonna be a top four team. We know they could upset any team in the East. They can make a finals run. I don't expect them to, but they're like a lot of teams that we've mentioned are waiting for next free agency.
mm-hmm.
They're the favorites to sign everyone basically because they're Miami. But
Heat
yeah, this
culture.
team is it's just about setting up 1 year contracts and
Yeah,
showing to everyone that this is a free agency destination where you come, you win championships, and you enjoy nice weather.
yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, so moving on to another Florida team, the Orlando Magic. Did not trade Nick Vucevic. Did not trade Aaron Gordon. Did not trade Jonathan Isaac. And they drafted Cole Anthony. Am I missing anything?
Evan Fournier requested a trade. They did not trade him. Uh, Terrence Ross is still there. They didn't trade him.
Yeah.
And they're not going to make the playoffs this year,
Nope.
which I'm happy about because I hate that they're okay with mediocrity. I hate when teams just are okay with being 8 and 9 seeds.
Yeah.
And
Same.
hopefully Vucevic gets traded midway through the season. They definitely had offers for him. They had offers probably consisting of 3 first-round picks from the Celtics, and they probably said no. So I can't wait till they trade him for a late first and contract filler because that's what's going to happen when he's on his expiring. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Orlando Magic, they overvalue their players. They seem like a team run by the fans because fans
Mm.
always overvalue their own players. And that's what it seems like Orlando Magic is doing. And if they trade for Russell Westbrook, they might make the playoffs, but they're just going to be the 8th seed for the rest of Russell Westbrook's whole career.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough to watch.
This, but see, even if they don't make the playoffs, they're not.
They're
They're
going to be
not
like
going to be.
ninth.
They're not going to be bad enough to get a high pick. They need to.
Yeah,
They need to trade Vucevic. They need to. They need to make some moves, and they need to either go like trade for Russell Westbrook or whatever, and try to make the playoffs and try to be decent, uh, or just tank and just get a high pick. I don't really understand what getting a 10th seed is going to do for you. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And Westbrook, Vucevic, a team of those two players are not going to win you a championship.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to beat
No.
LeBron and AD. Like, But hey, if you think that team could, like, I
Yeah.
don't know why teams care about bringing in revenue this season
I
because
know it doesn't make
no
if
one's
there was a
coming.
I know if there was 1 year to just tank and not care about tickets, it's this year. Like the Magic are a team that obviously like they don't have the biggest fan base in the world, um, and probably the reason for keeping Vucevic and those guys around was to not have an empty stadium every game.
Yeah,
But when the Lakers and the Celtics are gonna have an empty stadium every game too, why do you
yeah,
care? Like
yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
And when the number seed Bucks already
Yeah,
have announced that they cannot have fans in their stadium,
yeah,
like nothing's gonna happen. Like I know Florida is a state with minimal restrictions,
yeah,
but they're still gonna have like at least a 50% capacity.
yeah,
And I think people from other states will literally drive to watch basketball and you'll fill them out. Like you don't have to be worried about
yeah.
getting revenue this season.
Yeah. I don't understand. All right, moving on. The Charlotte Hornets. So they drafted Lamelo Ball, which we both said they should, and then somehow thought it was a good idea to give Gordon Hayward a 4-year, $120 million contract. A
Yeah.
guy. I mean, we all feel bad for Gordon Hayward in the injury, but he has not been good in over 2 years, and I do like the fit. Like if you had just told me Gordon Hayward signed with the Hornets, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
But Gordon Hayward signed for $30 million a year for 4 years. I'm like, that I don't understand. I don't really understand what Michael Jordan is thinking with that.
Not only did he sign for 120 million, they had to waive and stretch Nick Batum's 27 million for 9 million for the next 3 years. And they still have Cody Zeller's 15 million for this year's expiring. It feels like Michael Jordan just heard, oh man, the Hornets made a good move finally and drafted LaMelo Ball.
Yeah,
And he took it personally. And he's like, I am the worst owner in sports
yeah.
and I cannot have praise. And he just signed the worst contract in the offseason. Like he took it personally and he had to make sure he was the worst.
This, it, like I said, I do like the fit on the team. I think this is a better fit for Hayward. I think it's a pretty decent just move for the organization, like just having him on the team. But
Yeah.
that contract, like you could, I didn't think he was going to get 20 million a year, and to give him 30 for
Yeah.
over 4, I like that is, I don't understand that at all.
People were estimating like he opted out of the 34 to get like a 14 per
Yeah,
year. So
yeah,
like so it sums up to 42 million for like
yeah,
over 3 years.
yeah,
But Gordon Hayward is the only player that got multiple 30 million contracts. The only other three are Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant. Those are the only other four players that have that much money
yeah,
in two contracts. So basically, you're a GOAT or you're Gordon Hayward's agent, who is the best agent of all time.
yeah. I think Gordon Hayward's agent is has to officially be the best agent of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so the Washington Wizards, I love their draft. They got Denny Avdia. It's a guy that I thought should have went fourth, went a lot lower than he should have, and they do have a lot of, like we said, there's a lot of drama going on right now with John Wall. But other than that, they're looking like they have a pretty fun team, pretty fun offensive team at least
yeah,
going into the season. Maybe looking at a playoff spot.
yeah. This team and the team we're going to talk about next, the Atlanta Hawks, are going to be fighting for that 8 seed. And the thing with John Wall is people have to remember he hasn't played 2 years. He's coming off two big
Yep,
injuries.
yep,
He's not going to be the 20 and 10 guy that you saw last. Benny Avdia can't shoot. He's not going to be a good player right now. He's going to be a good
yep,
player in the future.
yep,
Rui Hachimura didn't seem like he took a jump in the bubble. So I don't know how that's going to work.
yep.
Davis Bertans has to get shots created for him.
Mm-hmm.
So like, don't be surprised if this team,
And they paid him a pretty decent contract too.
yeah, they paid him
So
16 million a year.
yeah.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if this team flounders and gets a 10 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if the team succeeds and gets a 6 seed. So like,
Yep, I agree.
they have a lot of potential.
It comes down to John Wall's health. It comes down to if Hachimura is able to take a step forward. It comes down to how good Denny Avdia's shooting is going to be right away. And if all those things happen, 6 seed is in play. And
Yeah,
if a few of those things don't happen, 10 or 11 seed is in play. So
Yeah, and they have my dark horse for most improved player
Mm.
on their team in Thomas Bryant.
Oh,
Because I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I think I
good
think when
call.
you have a John Wall who just is so good at feeding centers, and you have the shooting of Bradley Beal, like as a center, you can just grab so many
Yeah,
rebounds and
yeah,
putbacks and
yeah.
free rim runs that he could have like a 16-8 season or a
Yeah,
16-10 season
yeah.
and kind of just sneak that most improved player award.
That is definitely a possibility, definitely in play. Okay, so I think one of the teams that is kind of the most exciting teams, at least in the East right now, from a fan perspective, is the Atlanta Hawks. They look like they could be getting Bojan Bogdanovic or Bogdan Bogdanovic, my bad. Which would I think be huge. They still have Capella, which I think is a good move if they're trying to make the playoffs right now. They drafted Onyeka Kongwu, and am I missing anything?
They got
Oh,
Rondo.
and my bad, they Danilo Gallinari from they signed him to a
Yeah,
3-year deal,
yeah,
which
and they
I
got
think is an
Rondo.
awesome fit for the team.
Yeah, and they got Rondo and Chris Dunn too.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah,
they're stacked as a team.
yeah.
Like they have young talent, they have veteran leadership, and they're like, hey, Trey Young wants to win, so we're making the playoffs this year. And people are gonna call me crazy, but I think they could get a 6 seed. I think they could push like past just the 8 seed.
Completely agree. Yeah,
The
the
question
yeah,
is Gallinari playing the three?
yeah. That's the question because Capella is obviously starting at the 5. John Collins is obviously starting at the 4, and then I guess that leaves Gallo starting at the 3, which
Yeah,
I think at this point in his career he has to be a
he
power
can't.
forward.
Yeah,
And the defense, like he can space the floor on all that stuff, obviously, but the defense is like he's that's gonna be rough. Guarding
yeah,
the best wing every night for the other team, Gallinari, that is not gonna be fun to watch. Unless they just want to use him as like a super 6 man, which would be kind of
yeah.
cool.
Which is what I'm thinking. I think
Yeah,
Gallinari is actually the sixth man of this team.
yeah.
Because
6 man of the year, probably a lock for him. Like,
yeah, because if you have Trey Young guarding your point guards, Gallinari guarding your small forwards, and John Collins guarding your power forwards, you are gonna give up 600 points.
yeah,
Like, like you might score
yeah,
602,
yeah,
but you're gonna give up 600.
yeah,
And like me and you talked about this, we think they're just acquiring talent, just stack the team with talent.
yeah.
And when Bradley Beal's Wizards are 10th and he's getting a little frustrated and requesting trades, or when Zach Levine's Bulls are last and he's getting frustrated and requesting trades, you could just be like, hey, I have Kevin Herter, Cam Reddish. I'll give you a protected pick and I'll give you Bogdanovich.
Yeah,
And that's like a huge haul.
yeah.
And then you get that Zach Levine and you still have a Hunter, Gallo, uh, JC, John Collins, and a Ken Capella and a Nika Kangu. Like they're so stacked that they can
They're
make a
so
huge
stacked with
trade.
talent. Yeah,
They can make a huge trade and still be stacked with
still
talent.
be
So
stacked. Yeah,
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 watch out
and
for them midseason.
yeah, they definitely have a trade to make. Even if they don't, they could be a free agent destination next year.
Yeah,
Not going to say Giannis. I'm not going to say Kawhi, but I mean, you never know.
yeah,
And now that I think about it a little more, I think they should bring Gallo off the bench. I think Gallo should be the 6 man.
yeah,
Like if it, let's say your bench is, I mean, we don't know if they have Bogdanovich yet, but let's say your
yeah,
bench is like Rondo with like Kevin Herter and Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter and Onyeka Okongwu. There's not a ton of offense
yeah.
and like quality veterans on that, like scoring veterans on that bench. If you can, I don't know, if you have Rondo and Gallo, 6th and 7th man, like that's pretty. I don't
A
know, that's pretty
bench,
good.
like a bench of Rondo, Kevin Herter, Cam Reddish, Gallo, and
Yeah,
Onika Okongwu
jeez.
is an amazing bench. That's by far the best bench in
Literally,
the league.
I think. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, like anyway, the Hawks have a ton of options. They have a ton of trades to make, and they could be looking at as high as a 6 seed this year.
yeah.
Which,
And Trey Young's going to be improving too. Like
yeah,
people, Trey
yeah.
Young and Luka Doncic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Trey Young might sneak that MVP award if he gets the top 4 seed somehow, which he does have the talent around him to do.
Hmm.
He could sneak that MVP award
You
from
could,
Luka.
you could, yeah. What if Trey Young wins an MVP before Luka Doncic? Like what? because everyone loves bringing up that Trae Young was traded for Luka Doncic, and like
Yeah.
what that would be crazy if that happened.
Yeah, I'm a big Trae Young supporter. I had him in
Yeah,
my top
10
10
point
point
guards. Yeah,
guards. I know you didn't, but
yeah,
I think he's about to prove you wrong. And
yeah.
I think it's a
I think he is
lock,
too.
man.
I
I think
think he
it's a
is too.
lock for a
Yeah,
playoff team, maybe even top four.
yeah. Okay, so this does not. The Hawks are a team on the rise in the East. The Hawks are a team that are looking from going from not making the playoffs to maybe being in the 6 seed conversation, maybe as high as a 4 seed. And our Raptors, it looks like this is finally the year that they are not a top 3 seed in the East. I don't like saying that about a Masai Nick Nurse team, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet team, but I don't see a way that they're a top 3 or 4 seed in the East this year. Serge Ibaka has gone to the Clippers. Marc Gasol has gone to the Lakers. And the center, they brought back Van Vliet, which I obviously like, on a deal that I actually think is a pretty good deal, 21.5 million a year, 21.25 million a year. But the center spot, which was I think one of our strong spots, one of the Raptors' strong spots, which was Gasol and Ibaka, is now Aaron Baines, Chris Boucher, and Alex Len,
Yeah.
which I think is one of they're one of the weakest teams at center in the league now.
Yeah,
They have to be.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just going to
Yeah.
be OG Anunoby trying to become a second option this year, third option, trying to average
15,
17, 15 to
15. Yeah.
17. Pascal trying to get back to the form he was first half of last season. Fred VanVleet maybe trying to take on more lead guard responsibilities and maybe trying to get something out of, like, they drafted basically a Fred VanVleet clone in the first round. He's not going to play
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is maybe make the playoffs this year. Probably make the playoffs. I don't want to say that a Nick Nurse, Masai Ujiri team is not making the playoffs, but this is just keep your options open. Giannis 2021. Maybe Kawhi comes back.
Yeah.
Ibaka's on a player option too, so maybe Giannis or maybe Kawhi and Ibaka both come back. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And with the signing of Aaron Baines over Hassan Whiteside, I think it clearly shows that the Raptors aren't trying to get the high seed
Yeah,
this year because
yeah,
Hassan Whiteside is a better player.
yeah,
But they signed Aaron Baines because he'll move to the corner and he'll let Pascal Siakam do whatever he wants. I think the purpose of this season is to show how good Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby are
yeah,
because they're going to be the stars. They're going to be the second option, third option, fourth
yeah,
option to the superstar. So I think you have a team that's just trying to. It's just a pitch. This whole season is a pitch. Like same with Miami.
yeah,
Both those teams are going to be good playoff teams. Miami probably the second seed. Raptors probably the eighth seed. They're just going to pitch to Giannis, Kawhi, Paul George, whoever.
yeah,
This is why we're good. This is why our young talent's good. This is why our superstars are good. Come join us. And the Raptors fans, this is the first time in so long that we're not going to be guaranteed a playoff spot.
yeah,
And we're going to be kind of competing with the Wizards and Hawks. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it's all about next year.
yeah. But like you said, not every team that has cap space is going to be able to get Giannis, Kawhi, and Paul George. So I I don't know. We'll see. But like
We'll
I
see.
think they're going to get at least an 8 seed, and
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe OG Anunoby averages like 21, 22. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. So the Celtics, uh, actually, I kind of love their draft. Uh, I think they got Aaron Nesmith as a steal. I think he's going to come in and be able to get buckets off their bench right away. They brought in Tristan Thompson. Not exactly the Embiid stopper that they needed,
Yeah.
and the Giannis stopper that they needed, but better than Daniel Tice
Daniel
probably
Tice.
at that. And then they signed Tatum to the max, super max, or whatever deal that was. He's making a ridiculous amount of money, over $40 million a year now, I think. And I don't know, they're kind of looking at running it back, maybe with a better bench and just more experience for Jason Tatum. Probably looking at definitely a top 3 seed in the East at least.
Yeah, I think they're probably favorites to get that second seed.
Yeah,
And they can even get the first seed with the
they
Bucks
could,
kind of
they
having
could.
chemistry issues. But it's all about the playoffs. Can Tatum improve? Can Jalen Brown improve? Can
Yeah,
Marcus Smart improve?
yeah.
this is one of those teams that's not going to have cap space next year.
Yeah.
This is going to be the Celtics team for the next 2-3 years. So you want to see them improve internally, get better. I wanted to see them trade for Vucevic, but obviously Gordon Hayward opting out threw probably a big wrench in their
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't blame Danny Ainge for any of the moves that he had to make on the fly, and I
Yeah.
think he came out pretty well. Still could be the first seed.
Yeah. I agree. One of the teams with the most stability at the top of the East. They just like not a lot of players coming in, not a lot of players going out, and I think if you just continue to let Jason Tatum improve, this could be a Jason Tatum MVP season. Maybe, I don't know. It's
Maybe.
possible. You
Yeah.
never know. Yeah, looking pretty good for the Celtics. But like you said, we used to think of them as this team with a lot of young talent, a lot of future flexibility. But this is their team. Like this is if they're going to win a championship, this is going to be the team
It's
they win a
this team.
championship with, right?
Yeah.
So they're still missing that good big man, that Clint Capella, that Vucevic. But I don't know. Tristan Thompson's pretty good. He was a starter on a championship team, so we'll see.
Yeah. And they also look to trade for Rudy Gobert mid-season
Yeah,
because they do have a lot of like a Aaron Nesmith, a lot of good guys on their bench,
yeah,
and they do have Marcus Smart, people to throw at the Utah Jazz.
yeah,
So I wouldn't be surprised if they get a Rudy Gobert on this team.
yeah, yeah. I'd love to see that. Okay, so the Sixers were actually able to get Al Horford out of there. They were actually somehow able to trade Al Horford. They got rid of Josh Richardson too, and they brought in Seth Curry. They what else? Who else did they bring in?
Danny Green,
Danny
Terrence
Green
Ferguson,
they brought in Danny Green in the Al Horford trade. Terrence Ferguson. The team is looking like it fits a lot better to me now. You got Ben Simmons, Embiid, Danny Green, Tobias Harris can play the four, and
Seth Curry.
Seth Curry. I just think this fits a lot better as a team. And Doc Rivers is coaching his son-in-law, so that'll be fun. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think this is. I always say that the Sixers are the dark horse team to win the East, but this is the team. Like they fit together.
yeah,
Like Tobias Harris is playing four. That's his position.
yeah,
Ben
so,
Simmons is guarding small forwards. That's kind of his position.
yeah,
The backcourt is career 40% shooters.
yeah,
Like that's what you need around Ben Simmons. Joel Embiid apparently is in shape now. We
okay,
say that every
yeah,
single year.
yeah,
They have Dwight Howard off the bench in case
yeah,
Embiid gets injured.
yeah,
They have Matisse Thybulle, Shake
yeah,
Milton, Terrence Ferguson. They have a young bench. They have
yeah,
Mike Scott. Like they have everything.
yeah,
It's just what can Doc Rivers do?
yeah. But this is the team that you needed to definitely a better team to have around Simmons. Basically, really good shooters at every spot other than point guard and center. And Embiid's like he shoots a lot of threes, doesn't really make a ton of them, but it's definitely a better team. And if it doesn't work out this year, we could be seeing that Simmons and Embiid split up. But
Yeah.
I definitely like. I agree. I think they should be dark horse contenders, and I like their team on paper a lot better than they did last year.
Yeah, and if that Simmons Harden trade does happen that we've been talking about for months,
Yeah,
they're my favorites to come out the East. But
yeah,
I don't think it'll happen this off season. I don't think it'll happen next off season.
yeah, yeah. All right, so the Brooklyn Nets have not traded for James Harden yet, and haven't really done anything, right?
They just kind of re-signed their guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
Brought
Joe
back Joe
Harris got a
Harris.
huge contract, uh,
Yeah,
huge contract, and pretty much other than that,
that's about it.
that's about it.
But they're my favorites to come out the East with doing
Yeah,
nothing.
I
So
I really hope they come out of these. I really want to see KD with his own team. Just like,
gets
I
LeBron.
mean, KD. If KD's healthy, I think he should be the MVP favorite. Like if he's KD, I think the fan voting, he or not the fan voting, but just like the feeling around the league and just
Yeah,
how good of a story it is. I think KD's guaranteed an MVP. If they're a top 2 seed and he's averaging like 28, I think he's guaranteed MVP.
yeah. It's if Curry or KD gets a top two seed,
Yeah, yeah,
they're gonna win MVP.
yeah,
It's just we expect the Nets to do it. Golden State would be a little bit of a long shot, but
yeah, yeah,
if those guys are able to stay healthy and be who they were before injuries,
yeah,
it's gonna be pretty interesting.
yeah, exactly. All right, so the final team that we're going to talk about is the New York Knicks, and
Yes.
they got their point guard of the future in Austin Rivers. So
Three
happy.
3 year deal.
3-year deal for Austin Rivers,
Wow.
and they drafted Obi Toppin, which I was kind of surprised about, but
Me too.
he's going to make that a much better offensive team right away. The defense, like we've said before, is very, very, very suspect with him, but I think he should make them at least a more fun offensive team to watch. Can provide some spacing, hopefully with his shooting, and I don't know. They're still looking like one of the worst teams in the league, going for that number one pick again.
Yeah, the good thing about them over the Hornets is they kept their cap space. They
Yeah,
didn't sign
yeah,
they didn't sign Gordon Hayward for $120 million.
yeah,
So yeah, they signed Alex Burks. They signed they traded for they didn't trade for JaVale McKee. JaVale McKee went to the
yeah,
Cavs.
yeah,
But they're in rumors to trade for JaVale McKee. They got Omari Spellman. They kind of just suck. They're kind of
yeah.
just they're gonna let the backcourt of Austin Rivers and RJ Barrett
Uh,
play alongside Obi Topping, Mitchell
Mitchell
Robinson.
Robinson.
I don't even know who their small forward is.
Me neither.
They're pretty bad.
Are they? They've got to be the worst team in the East, right?
Oh, Alex Burks will start in small forward for them. Their new signing.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah.
I hope
They
RJ
have.
could just score.
I think the Cavs are better than them. I think the Pistons are if they keep Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin and they're healthy. I think they're better. I think the Hawks are definitely better. Knicks are the worst team in the East. I think
The
definitely on
Hornets,
paper.
the Hornets cap is way worse. Like
Okay, the Hornets cap is worse, but if like
as
Gordon
players, they're better.
Gordon Hayward's gonna average, I'm pretty sure he's gonna average 20. Like I'm pretty sure Gordon Hayward's gonna average
Yeah,
20, right? And LaMelo's gonna average at least like seven assists and like 15 points, right?
yeah, and
So
don't be surprised if the Hornets trade for
yeah,
Andre Drummond because
yeah, yeah,
they think they're a playoff team. So don't be surprised.
yeah. Oh my god. Okay, one thing, just to not to talk about the Hornets too much, but they drafted the best center in the draft in Vernon Carey Jr.
Oh yeah,
They
they did, and
drafted
he's
the
gonna
steel.
start.
He's gonna start. He's the best center in the draft. He's the best post scorer in the draft. He's gonna win Rookie of the Year. He's our favorite player in the draft. So that's one good. Michael Jordan had an awesome draft. I think he just forgot to
They're
just think about
personal.
free agency and just like you know, yeah.
Yeah,
So that we went through all 30 teams. Didn't actually take as long as I was afraid it would. Um, but basically, to sum it up, the Lakers are going to repeat as champions, and the Bucks have fallen off. The Clippers have fallen off, and the Raptors have sadly fallen off.
the most.
And a lot of fun teams at the bottom of the East are coming up, but the championship looks like it belongs to the Lakers. So congrats to Rob Pelinka, congrats to LeBron James.
Yeah,
I don't know how they convinced Montrezl Harrell to take probably half of what he could have gotten per year to come play for them and ring chase, but good on them, I guess.
yeah, and well, we'll be back next week with MVP predictions,
Yeah,
Rookie of the Year predictions, six man, all those award predictions, and maybe even our playoff predictions as well. Because free agency is done. I know it's
it
only
is.
like day
Hassan
three,
Whiteside's the last one, but
and if everyone the next best player is like Jeremy Lin, he wasn't even on an NBA team next a year ago. So
yeah, yeah,
If besides Hassan Whiteside, if every other free agent doesn't make an NBA team, I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. I think that's a good way to end this. So like we said, we're going to be coming back next year next week
Next week.
with a preview of the upcoming year, the preview of the upcoming season. Like you said, all the awards predictions, maybe some playoff predictions, and yeah, the season is coming up in less than a month, December 22nd.
Yeah,
That training camp is definitely going to be starting in like 2 weeks, probably around then. I'm not really 100% sure. The Raptors are not even playing in Toronto; they're playing in Tampa. So
Tampa.
it's going to be one of the weirdest seasons of all time, but it should be really fun. And hopefully, by the time the playoffs come around, maybe we can have fans for this championship this year. Hopefully, I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah,
But I don't
we'll
know.
see.
The season's coming up, and just thank God we didn't have a 6 month off season.
Yeah, and actually next week we'll be back on December 1st when training camps are open and running.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the date was. Awesome. Nice. All right, so that does it for this one. Thank you everyone for listening, and make sure to come back next week for a preview of the 2021 NBA season.